Well, here we go. I've been on a bit of a Viking bender, binge watching of the different Viking shows on Netflix recently. And as I watch, I thought, I could do a Viking prepper tips. And so here we go. Things I learned from the Vikings about prepping. Physical fitness and training. Very, very important. Stay in shape, train hard, focus on your skills, be combat ready, fight ferociously. These are all things when I was watching all the Viking shows, and it goes back to a lot of the hardcore type war atmosphere ones, the Spartans, the Romans, train hard, always be physically fit, always be ready, even at play, right? Make games out of things that you need to become natural at and have second nature to and your fighting skills. Take those courses, do them as your recreational activities, stay physically sharp and fit. Very, very important. You never know what life's going to throw at you, and you have to be ready for it. Being physically fit makes everything more enjoyable. So that's number one. Store and protect your food. The episode I just watched had an invading force take over the little town and to drive them out, to bring the invaders out of their well defended location. A couple of Vikings snuck in and set fire to the winter grain storage. And so then, in pursuit of these two individuals, the invading force was led out of the safety of their area and they could be attacked in the open. So put things away. That's a big thing. If you're farming or homesteading or anything like that, you learn, you realize that you can't just go to the store all the time and buy things. So you have to stock up. It's not hoarding, it's stocking for when times are lean. When times are plentiful, put things away. Have your storage and protect it. Grow what you can. Have multiple ways to get things, even if it's not great land or a small garden plot, whatever that is, a window box. Grow what you can to supplement and be able to hunt and forage. So how do you replenish your supplies? How do you go back out and get more stuff? Trading is vital. So in prepping, we often talk about bartering, being able to barter and trade for things. The Vikings would protect their trade routes. Big traders, big sailors, and in different areas, Greenlanders and things like that. When they didn't have things to trade or the trading routes were impacted by various attackers, it really, really devastated the communities that couldn't trade anymore. Have items for trade. What do you make that other people want? Is it furs? Is it goods? Is it natural resources? What do you do? Is it your skills? Develop multiple avenues for your trade, various trading partners. And this goes back to our, the core, one of the core most important financial or prepping things to do is financial prepping. Multiple streams of income. Don't be totally reliant on one trading partner or one stream of income. So develop that. What skills will you be able to barter? What items will you be able to trade? The real assets, gold, silver, and land. So yeah, the Vikings go off, they sail west, they raid England, they come back with gold and silver. As they were going back, and getting more kind of mature, I'll say, in their raiding, they, Ragnar Lothbrok realized that the real value is in the good arable land. And he would say, well, we have a hard life. We're always trying to get food enough to just survive. Whereas in England, life is easy. Things grow all over the place. So they started, instead of saying, pay us to leave with gold and silver, which is great, we want land and we want to set up settlements here and farm it. So go back to the real assets, gold, silver, and land. Something the Vikings had clued into a long time ago. Have strong faith, family, and community, whatever your faith is. Believe in your God or believe in your gods. As I watch the Viking shows, and the Vikings start to realize it, certain Vikings, and And you look at things in the stories they tell, and they're not that different. Sure, you might have each one believes in a false god, but forget all that stuff. Look at the core. They had strong faith, either the Christians or the pagans, right? And some of the stories were similar. Episode I just watched recently, they said, well, very similar to how Odin, the Allfather, wanted to see what it was like to experience death. So he hung himself from the great tree and his side was pierced by a spear. And they said that very similar to Christ when he was crucified and his side was pierced by the spear by the Romans. So we aren't really all that different. We have core beliefs. Have true strength is in the family and our community. Anyone who's on their own in any of the settings or the shows, right, they generally don't last that long. But when you have strong family and strong community with skills and beliefs and traditions and your partnerships, that's where your strength lies. And we can take that and have it reflected in our prepping. We have a little community hall near my farm, and we were just thinking, yeah, well, we have to get a technician in to help with the telephone lines. And there's someone in the community said, well, that's what I do. I know how to repair and fix telephone lines. So we don't have to pay a lot of money to have that. We can have someone do it. And, everybody chips in. Someone will say, well, I'll pick up supplies for the hall, and we can, 3 or 4 of the families have wood lots, so we can supply wood. And different people have different skills. There were conservation officers and forest management people and mechanics and welders, someone who can cut hair, someone who's a doctor, someone who's good at hunting, people that do crafts and make mitts and leather goods and crochet and knit. Strong community, and our hall is vibrant and growing, and we're having dances and parties for the kids, and that's why it was built, to have that strong community and support each other. Very, very important, and a very strong lesson from the Vikings. Always be ready to be attacked. If you raid, leave strong defenses. Quite often you'll see, okay, big raiding party goes off, and then another group comes in and attacks their home village while they're gone and devastates it. Have strong fortifications, leave strong defenders. Even the first thing they do when the Vikings land and they're attacking, they're raiding, what do? They put up defenses around their encampment. Always be expecting that you're going to be attacked. Be ever vigilant. Even when you're attacking, be thinking, okay, if we have to fall back, what are our defensive positions before you attack? Before you leave the tree line and go racing into the open field to attack, maybe have some defenses built in the trees that if you fall back, you can quickly raise them to repel the attackers. Always be armed. Carry multiple weapons. I always have a knife on me, at least one, right? The Vikings have a knife, have an axe, have different weapons. Always be ready. Always be armed. Be vigilant. Expect that you're going to be attacked. Whether it's financial attack, expect job loss, right? Have multiple streams of income. Expect that you might be challenged for your position or not get that promotion or be laid off. Have an emergency fund. Have a fallback position. Have reserve funds, just like having a reserve force that you can deploy when the battle's not going well for your primary force. I just did that myself. I had to dip into my emergency fund to help with some things. But it was good to have those soldiers, those dollar soldiers ready to deploy and to fight for me. And now, if I start to rebuild my investments, some of my investments that are dividend funds, those are soldiers working for me. They are making money for me. Might not be a lot, but it's something. Always be ready. Always be exploring and improving. Navigation, ship design, swords and metal strength, bows. The Vikings had ships that could, they had sails and oars, so they could sail across the open seas, and then they could sail upriver. Shallow drafts, smaller construction, very durable. Right, their navigation. When they figured out a way to navigate and to maintain their heading, even when it was cloudy, with the use of the sunstone and sundials, floating sundials, things like that, right? Always be looking, always be exploring. They were always looking for new areas to either raid or to settle. They weren't content. Yes, they had their home bases, but they were always looking for that extra bit, always seeking new knowledge, being able to adapt. Very, very important. Well, that's it. That's all. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed prepping tips from the Vikings. Like and subscribe.